What's up, Turtle Riders? Court day. I'll let people stream on in here. Alright, who's here right now? Anyone here? I didn't make an announcement. I just kind of went live. Impromptu. I like to do this in the car. I got this freaking dash mount thing that charges the phone while it's being prompted up. So that's cool. Okay, cool. People are starting to stream in here. Excellent. Alright, so I figured I'd go live for a couple minutes. I'm bored. I'm driving to Brockton, which is unfortunate. Never a good thing when you do have to do that. But I am going to see Mr. Tony Branch, the alleged bishop from Brockton, who is suing me for defamation because in 2016 a blog was published on Turtleboy. Oh, that's a hawk. That was cool. Cool. Anyway, I'm on 495. But the call, no, in the blog, it said that he was a fake bishop, which was satirical. But, and I don't even remember the blog being written. But he claimed he was so damaged from that he could just, he couldn't get any work, couldn't get any more wedding gigs. It's really unfortunate, really sad story. I don't even remember the guy was. But he sued me, pro se, and everything's free for him because he's a complete degenerate. And I have to hire counsel. Big pain in the ass, but whatever. Winning is the most important thing for me. Defending free speech and defending the First Amendment. Those are the most important things for me. So, yeah, I thought this would get dismissed. It did not. So I got a new attorney, and we are in the process right now. What I'm going to court for right now with this whole thing is he is trying to get an order on me because I confronted him at well, first thing he's trying to do is he's trying to get the court to suppress his divorce documents, because that's where all the good stuff is on it. Like, that's where the stuff is where the judge finds it to be credible or not credible that he didn't sleep with an underage woman. So it's credible that he slept with an underage woman. His ex-wife, Evelyn. And he wants it suppressed. I don't know what would happen if he was granted that, if I would have to take it down. I mean, I wouldn't do it. Call WordPress. They can do it for you. But I'm not taking anything down. I have a right to free speech, and I'm pretty confident the judge is going to see it that way too. And just because you don't like this stuff coming out doesn't mean you have a right to suppress it. Because it happened. It's public information. It's public documents. And again, Tony, none of this would have happened if you didn't sue me, my guy. I had no intention of writing about you. I didn't even know who you were. I wasn't going to, expose you or anything like that. I never would have looked into your past. I wouldn't even know who you are. But you insisted, man. You insisted. You offered me $600. You didn't offer me $600. You offered for me to offer you $600 for this to go away. We declined. Then you won the motion to dismiss, and then you upped it to $30,000. Not happening, obviously. Might have done the 600 just because, fuck it. But 30,000, come on.
In 10 miles, take exit 19A to merge onto Route 24 north toward Boston.
Okay, I'll do that. So anyway, I go to the, so he wants that suppressed. He also wants to get an order on me because I confronted him, as you saw the other day, at the school committee meeting. Where they all got in a private room, an executive session, and they talked about how they were going to cover this up. Read last night's blog if you haven't done so already, and please, if you haven't done so, email every single person on that school committee and say, look we know you're deferring all this stuff to Tony Branch, because by the way, the superintendent, Luis Lopez, put out an email to all parents addressing this because they had no choice because it was getting so big. And he said in the email that all inquiries about this would be forwarded to the chairman who is Tony Branch. So Tony Branch will answer all inquiries about Tony Branch's pedophilia. Yikes. So anyway, I'm a reporter. Obviously, the police recognize me as a reporter. Everybody knows I'm media. It is what it is at this point. If you're in denial about that, you're just not living a reality. But I have different ways for sure. I use different methods, and I have, a tendency to use language that other people would not. And I'm not your traditional journalist, that's for sure. I ask questions. I get to the bottom of things. I find things out. And when I find out that the head of a school committee is a deviant like that, we're going to report on that. Again, none of this happens if Tony doesn't sue me. I'm happy he did now, because now I get to report on this. It's a good story. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that, if he stops the lawsuit, that I stop reporting on him. I won't stop, so he might as well keep going at this point. But I just went there to confront him and ask him these questions. And as you saw in those videos, all he could do was just play the race card and say, "I'm scared, you're dangerous." About Evelyn Wiggins, he said specifically, no, she did not make those allegations. She did. She wrote it in writing. She said it to me. She's willing to testify. Sucks for you. It's all going to come out, Tony. So, in the meantime, the question I have is, why is the Southeastern Regional School District continuing to allow this man to be the chairman of the school committee? Why aren't they... Okay, I understand they can't force him to resign because he's an elected official, but there are things you can do. You can censure him. You could put out a statement condemning him, urging him to resign, anything like that. They're doing none of that. Because why? Because they don't want to let Turtleboy win. AKA, they don't want the victims of sexual violence to win. Because that's who I'm advocating for. Tony Branch's victims. That's who I fight for. So, they don't want to let the victims of sexual violence win. They want to protect the feelings of a sexual predator. And they're running the school district. And this particular school district, as I start to look into it more, has a long and documented history of this under the current superintendent, Luis Lopez. Read last night's blog. We saw that they hired a guy in 2010 who Lopez knew from New Bedford Tech, who was fired from there for fake poisoning his own drink and then blaming it on students. They were investigated for this. Why? Because his girlfriend dumped him and he wanted to make her feel bad for him. Somehow that guy gets hired at Southeastern. He couldn't get hired anywhere in the state. He was all over the papers. Somehow he gets a job. A couple years later, or that same year in 2010, a bunch of students get suspended at Southeastern for putting out 2 Facebook pages accusing their principal, David Wheeler, of being a sexual degenerate. And they said it's bullying. And in the Brockton Enterprise article they wrote about it, they said they compared it to the South Hadley case, where that Irish girl killed herself a little over a decade ago. So you can't criticize a guy, the principal, for being a sexual deviant, because multiple students accused him of wrongdoing. And then he suspended them for doing that. And finally, a 3rd Facebook page opened up by a former student, and they couldn't silence him. So that's that. And then that was in 2010 he did that. In 2017, he abruptly leaves in the middle of the year. And he voluntarily signs a document saying he surrenders his teaching license. Who would do that? According to Luis Lopez, though, he just wants to pursue other passions and move to Florida and be a writer or some shit like that. Then why would he give up his teaching license? Why would he voluntarily do that? Would you do that? He's like, yeah, there were some accusations, but there's nothing there. Well, they didn't do an investigation because he resigned. You avoid the investigation that way. My guy. Not good. So they allow that guy to stay on. They cover for him. And what does he do? When he leaves his job as the Southeastern principal, he goes and gets a job in Boston working with kids. Bunch of angry and concerned parents contact this program in Boston where he's working, and they're like, hey, this guy's a deviant, blah, blah, blah. He gets fired from there. They don't want anything to do with him.
In 2 miles, take exit 19A to merge onto Route 24 north toward Boston.
But the problem was that the school district allowed this guy to walk free unscathed. They said, oh yeah, we're just parting ways. He wants to have new adventures in his life, blah, blah, blah. Well, Luis Lopez covered that all up. Then he hired his nephew by the name of Matthew Parris. And Matthew Parris, or was his wife's nephew? I don't think it's the same thing, right? How can your wife have a nephew and it's not your nephew? But this guy, Matthew Parris, weird looking motherfucker, to work under the teacher who faked his own poisoning at New Bedford Tech and then was hired at Southeastern. And Matthew Parris legitimately raped 2 girls, at least 2 girls, on
Stay in the second
campus.
lane from right.
Second lane from right, gotcha. On campus. Why? He did that. He didn't think he was going to get caught. There was text message evidence, everything. Read about that motherfucker. He's shady. So, it's a nepotism hire, and he puts him with
Use
this
the
other
right lane to take exit 19 to
Okay,
merge
I heard
onto
you, Sue.
Route 24 north toward Boston.
All right, gotcha. So he puts him with this other teacher who he knows is going to be scared to come forward and say something. Why? Because he's lucky to have a job because, you know, he fakes his own poisoning sometimes and shit. So, yeah. Anyway, how many people are here right now? It's like 29. I just looked up and saw that. But it's the afternoon. Some of us work for a living. I know. We
Take
don't
the
get to
exit.
like fuck around and play video games all day and shit. Some of us have, you know, jobs and work and have to go and fight for freedom in Brockton of all places. But that's the culture that was created there, and yet Tony Branch is just another person like that. He's just another deviant working for the Southeastern Regional School District. If you send your kids to this school, you should pull them out, because if something happens to them, the school will do whatever it takes to protect the predator at the expense of your child. So I would encourage people, keep contacting them, keep emailing the school committee members.
Stay in the left 3 lanes.
Okay. Keep, stay on it, guys. Stay on it. Because
In 8.1 miles, take exit 31A onto Route 123 east toward Brockton.
they want this to go away, but I'm not going to let it go away as long as Tony Branch is there. I'll leave the Southeastern District alone, and I will stop reporting on it. Whatever. But, yeah. Okay, so anyway, I can't really read comments or anything because I'm driving right now, and it's not safe, and it's not safe. You know, you're a good example for the kids. But, again, the whole purpose of this hearing is to do 2 things. He's going to try to suppress his divorce documents and get them taken off the website. He's also going to attempt to, attempt to suppress the divorce documents and get an order on me, which would prevent me from, interviewing him in public forums. So we will be fighting this rigorously in court, my attorney Ryan McLean and I, and we will be victorious. I'm confident in this. I have confidence in the judge. I have confidence in the system. Although I've dealt with a lot of stupid judges before, but at the end of we dealt with the Giannetti judge. We dealt with all these other judges. Some of them are stupid, and we always end up winning. It's just a matter of who are they going to humor? This whole thing should be thrown out. It's a joke. It's a waste of the court's time, and yeah. So wish me luck, guys. Ratchet Madness voting is interesting. Go vote in that first round if you haven't already. Only one of the 8 matchups right now is close. Only one of them. But the rest are all blowouts. So get your vote in, because that one matchup in particular is extremely close. And we will see. I'll tell you one thing. I review these all when I'm reading them over, and I'm like, when I write them out, I'm like, holy shit. That Ashley Maggio girl, the 4 seed, dude, she should win the whole thing. So far, I think she's the strongest ratchet in that bracket. She is so ratchet, the definition of ratchet. Not just, you know, one thing one time, but when everything about your character and your personality is ratchet, when you have lost, like every checkbox, she lost her kids, she's a fucking drunk, she smashes into people and then blames the victims, you name it. GoFundMe's, you know, OnlyFans accounts. The only thing she's missing is a flat brim Bulls hat, but she's probably banged enough guys who wear that, so that counts. So she's my vote, my dark horse, to win the whole thing. So we'll see. But anyway, love you guys. We'll be back on live tonight. So hit that like button, comment on this video afterwards. Heard that helps with the algos, and maybe we'll talk about court tonight too, how it goes. All right? Peace, Turtle Riders.